change will never happen in one day. Change is what's progressive. And if we start with the 21st generation back home right now, implementing those courses about politics and all, and then it keeps going, and then we increase the level and all, it'll be good. We might see change on a little scale, but when they reach, if we start implementing it, let's say high school level, when they reach university, it can keep going on, and we'll just see change. I feel like it can take its time as long as the system is being really well implemented.
I think the sooner that we give people, or people acknowledge that they have the power to change or the power to vote, because in most African countries, just 50% of the population votes, or 33, for example, as the two countries that I lived in, they vote just 33 can decide who will be the president, who will be the minister, who will be the ruling party, just 33%. The rest of them, if we talk to them, either they are in very small villages that they don't even they don't even consider them part of the country. They don't implement the faculties or anything for them to vote. They don't implement. They don't even ask them to vote or anything. Or the other half, they don't think that their vote will make a change. And I think the faster that we make those people acknowledge that their votes count, and also that it's to some extent it's a right, but in most cases it will be an obligation for you to vote, to show your votes, because you will be taking the consequences, and later on you'll be, I didn't vote for this president. Yeah, why didn't you vote? I think the sooner that we give people the material to vote, or the right to vote, and they can acknowledge that they can make a change, that's when we can implement this.
I think I really agree with what you're saying. People do not believe that their vote will matter. For example, election happened in my country in December. I know a lot of my friends that they had the age required, but they were like, no, I don't think I'll vote, because no matter what I will do, I know that the leading party, which is the present party, which is PNDS Tarea, will still win, literally. And then that's what happened. I mean, they won with a percentage of, if I believe it's 34%. And I mean, it's just the first round. The second round is going to happen in February. And also, a lot of people are saying that people really those parties, it's all about corruption and stuff. They go into villages, they give bribery, I guess. They go into villages, they get a lot of people, they give them money, they vote. This is how they do. Literally, this is, if the party is rich, you got all the votes. Because people are not educated enough to see that, wait, what I'm doing is not right. Even maybe the party is bad. The party is bad, maybe it's not. But then their vote is not for themselves. It's because they give them something that will benefit them, which would be the money in this case. They literally buy votes, technically, if we can say that way. So I think, yeah.
Yeah, so as you were talking about people being corrupted with money and all these things, have this very extreme question, This is a discussion everybody can. That's not what I think. I just want people to talk on it. Do you think we should let people that do not know what democracy is to vote? How dangerous is it to let people that are not educated about the exercise of democracy to vote?
I think it's very dangerous. Very dangerous. I mean, in my part of the world, I guess in my country, I feel like this has happened a lot. A lot of people vote not based on their knowledge, based on the fact that somebody has given them something that they want, which is money in this case. So they don't vote because they know they want democracy, they want a change. It's because they're giving them something that will benefit them. And I feel like I would really appreciate if people who vote are able to understand democracy, not just out of the blue, just voting because somebody tell you, hey, I'll give you money and you will do this for me.
Stopping people from voting. If you stop people from voting, this is not democracy anymore.
But at the same time, you don't want to let people that not know.
If you stop them from voting, literally you are violating democracy
Right.
at all. So the thing is, it still comes back to how long, like the question you asked, like how long we should basically expect such kind of things to happen, all the changes to happen. That thing, we don't know, actually. There's no absolute answer to it. It might be 1 day, 2 years, it might be even a century that can change in Africa for us to have such kind of like changes. These are things that doesn't happen in 1 day or something. And the other thing is, you see most of the countries in Africa, the other thing that influences us doing voting all this stuff is our like how we like, for example, have a very distinctive ethnicity. You know, in Africa there is a lot of ethnic fragmentation. You have a lot of people divided according to their tribes or stuff like that. And they can only vote for people within their tribe or stuff like that. So if the government has a way, like for example, to influence those people to, like for example, I can give you an example from my country. Like we have 64 ethnic groups with all 64 diverse languages. And all those people are divided according to groups. Like we have the Bari native speakers, which consists of 12, and they all work together. So if the government convinces one of them to give them the vote, the rest all, they got it. Because one has accepted. You see the level of illiteracy working here?
Yeah, so as the thing was said, that's where the danger part is. Do you want to... I'm not saying if I'm a president, I'm going to take out the right to vote. I'm just saying this is a question that people need to be thinking about. You know, President thought on it is the danger that goes around letting our nations that do not know the exercise of democracy vote. It's, in my head, it's very dangerous.
Yes, that's exactly the thing that I said like before the break. I say that we still didn't reach to the position where we can create that institutions that can, for example, help the smooth running of democracy. First, we need to deal with such kind of stuff like we talked about. The level of illiteracy that we have, for example, to want it to stop people that are ignorant about democracy. We can't do that. But how can we serve them is by starting educating those people, like from back villages instead of starting from top. Because if you're trying to educate people at the top, what about the people at the bottom there? They will just be victims of political manipulation. And that's something that happens most of the time.
Like one more thought from everybody, because we're almost at the end of the discussion.
Okay, I was gonna say, like we've been saying, education is very important, and as much as you said how dangerous it could be to allow people who don't understand would be, we can't do that because part of a democracy is that everyone can vote, and so we just have to go back to education, make sure everyone is educated, because you don't want to start a classist thing like only the educated can vote, because that's not going to be fair on anyone. And I think that's my last thought.
I think there is, you know, that in most countries, at least you can't be a president until you reach 40. If you are not 40 years old, you can't be. I think if we raise the age of votes, that at least to like 2022, that can make sure that, like, you know, that people at least, you know, we can make sure that, like, with the implementation, of course, for the education and everything, can make sure that, like, that people are a bit more educated, at least a year or two above, like, you know, the 19 that's in most African countries that it gives you the right to vote. If we raise it 1 or 2 years, can implement at least, can give a bit of effect, I think.
I think it's really, again, education here. Education is really what's going to change. And as you said, it's really right because, let's say, yeah, if somebody, we cannot limit people voting because that's definitely like we're depriving them from their right. Every citizen has the right to vote, again. And at the end of the day, a way to avoid what Ange was saying is to be educated. If we educate people, at the end of the day, people will do their decision based on their thoughts, knowledge, and everything, and after it will be more beneficial for the society, and then they'll vote for a common interest.
Yeah. So, thank you everybody for the first Afro discussion. It was a great discussion. People have great thoughts, and as a conclusion, we found out that we need institutions that are stronger. We need educating the youth and everybody in the nation of the exercise of democracy, and also that it might take centuries before to actually reach that level of democratic stability. And yeah, thank you everybody, and see you next time for another session. And yeah, great. To all the guests that were present today, it was a very nice and enriching discussion that we had, and you can watch the full video on the Instagram page of the Afro Club, and we will be having another session in probably 2 or 3 weeks time, where we'll be talking about China and the involvement with African nation on the economic level. Yeah, thank you.